Hello, and a very warm welcome back to yet another video. Once again, I'm back talking about the movies that I saw in 2025. We're getting towards the end of this saga, if you will, of films that I saw in 2025 and the absolute best films I saw last year. So, in this video, we are talking about none other than Dune Part 2. Um, Nothing against Part 1, thought it was an excellent film. I spoke briefly in the video about that in the A category videos where I mentioned that ultimately I was struggling in maybe the first half of the film, appreciating that the actors, I'd known them from other movies and as other characters, and I had to really kind of let my brain accept them as characters in this new world that I was introducing myself to for the first time with that film watch. I'd never seen or read anything to do with the Dune universe before, I'd never done any reading on it, so I didn't really understand the universe, only that I'd heard murmurs that it's sort of the Star Wars, if you will, for the 21st century. So I was trying to go, okay, let's see if I can get sucked into this new universe. And part one, by the end of the film, I started to understand what was going on. And with Dune Part Two, I was so sucked into the universe. I did a watch. I believe I did it back to back, and oh, I mean, every frame in this film is a painting. It sounds glorious. It looks glorious. It's just such a outrageous sci-fi story as well, which is something I love. A really strong cast. I think the whole production here super special. So let's get into it. We've got a film that runs for 2 hours and 46 minutes. It kind of goes against the grain traditionally in terms of me appreciating films that run too far beyond 2 hours, because I sort of think, okay, when are we going to get to the end? When are we going to get to the end? But not with this. I didn't want to leave the film. I didn't want to leave the world. I didn't want to leave the desert, the beautiful locations in these films, particularly in this one. I just wanted to stay there for as long as possible. So um, it's a film as well. I wish I'd have known what was going on since 2020 with these two films, and I'd have made the effort to see it in IMAX in the cinema. But notwithstanding that, perhaps I'll get the opportunity to do that in the future. Most definitely looking forward to Dune Part 3, which should be out later this year. But concerning this film, we've got a Letterboxd review score of 4.4, so another one of the highest rated films on this entire batch of films that I saw last year. Very happy to see it so highly rated. We've got a Rotten Tomatoes score of 92% with the critics and 95% audience score, which is excellent. IMDb rating 8.4 out of 10, probably one of the highest, if not the highest rated film on IMDb that I saw last year as well. Um, yeah, I mean, what direction to go with talking about this film? Timothy Chalamet. I mean, look, I knew him as Wonka, right? Coming into these films, I knew him. To me, he was like the new Wonka, and again, it was a journey for me to try and appreciate him as someone other than Willy Wonka. But for me now, Timothy Chalamet, he's Paul Atreides. He is Paul Atreides. I get it. He's Paul Atreides is my guy. Zendaya as Shani, I might be pronouncing that wrong, as Paul Atreides' love interest. Um, Again, she was MJ for me in Spider-Man, but by the end of Dune Part 2, I was like, oh my goodness, she's totally Shani from Dune now. Rebecca Ferguson as Lady Jessica, strong performance. Josh Brolin again, he was Thanos and now he's Gurney Halleck in this universe, and so on and so on and so forth. The whole production, the set design, the costumes, the the work from Denis Villeneuve to just craft a film that's absolutely stunning here, and the cinematography from Greg Fraser as well. I mean, all round, this is just I can't. This is absolute cinema, absolute cinema. Honestly, other filmmakers have mentioned here. I'm just going to parrot from Wikipedia. Spielberg calls it one of the most brilliant science fiction films I've ever seen. James Cameron calling it pure cinema. Christopher Nolan praising it, calling it miraculous, saying that if Part 1 is like Star Wars, then Dune Part 2 is like Empire Strikes Back. Honestly, if you've not seen Dune Part 1 or Part 2 and you're even a moderate Star Wars fan, or you're even moderately interested in science fiction or fantasy or larger than life stories, or just a wonderful cinema experience, I wholeheartedly recommend these Dune movies. We've got, as I said, Dune Part 3 out this year. I'm not doing any reading into that. I know that it's following certain aspects of the books, and I want to be as open to whatever that film brings me when I get around to watching it later this year. But I feel like I'm going to want to do a rewatch here of Part 1 and Part 2 in the lead up to that, just to kind of soak up this wonderful, wonderful pair of movies again, because it's just, again, the desert. What an absolute stunning location to film these in. Um, I honestly, I could just parrot everything I've just said ad nauseum. Honestly, I'm so glad I allowed myself to go in here. Again, sometimes with films that are tied to novels, I think, well, I've not read the books and I've not watched the old show or the old film, and I think, well, do I really want to dive into the new stuff without knowing the old stuff? Again, if that's something that you can relate to, just dive in with Dune Part 1 and try and see if you can let yourself be immersed in this amazing, beautiful world that's been created. Denis Villeneuve, he just keeps showing up in things that I've seen as well, and I think, wow, this is stunning. Blade Runner 2049, another piece of his work that I just thought was absolutely beautiful. But Dune Part 2, definitely so far my favourite Villeneuve film, and definitely probably my overall favourite new kind of fantasy space opera universe sci-fi film that I've introduced myself to over the last few years. I'm just, yeah, I'm looking forward to whatever Part 3 brings, just to go back into that universe. So yeah, really spectacular and wonderful. I wholeheartedly recommend this movie and pair of movies. Really, it's a part two, so you do yourself a disservice to dive into part two straight away, because it's really a continuation of the part one. Yeah, try and head into part one and be open to these actors playing these new characters, and try to allow yourself to see what kind of what this new universe can kind of introduce for you. But yeah, these films, I'm so glad I made the time for them, and I'm so glad yeah, it's got me really looking forward to Dune Part 3 even more than the new Avengers film. Would I have thought that 10 years ago that I'd be looking forward to Dune Part 3 more than I would a new Avengers film? How the turntables. But with that being said, I think I've covered all bases here regarding this film. I think it's beautiful, I think it's wonderful, and it's absolutely one of my favourite films I saw in 2025. And with that being said, thank you for listening, watching, second screening, and hope to catch you in one of these future instalments. Thank you very much, and farewell.